He went from being a five-star recruit, early enrollee, to eventually this year's Heisman favorite preseason. Um, or last year. Either way, Spencer Rattler is out at Oklahoma. But this might surprise you. What about his choice to go to South Carolina to play for Shane Beamer and the South Carolina Gamecocks? Let's look into it. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with a quick video today. Spencer Rattler has entered the transfer portal, or did a few weeks ago, and pretty quickly has decided on going to South Carolina to play with the Gamecocks and Shane Beamer. What does this ultimately mean for Oklahoma? Well, it really doesn't mean anything other than they have lost a quarterback on the roster. Now, if y'all remember, Spencer Rattler was pretty much the top recruit coming out of high school. He was an early enrollee. He was a five-star recruit when Lincoln Riley was the head coach. He's now at USC. Bob Stoops, at least for right now, is the interim head coach. And I believe will serve through the bowl game for Oklahoma. And Coach Brent Venables coming in from Clemson to take over head coaching duties for the Sooners. We're not here to talk about necessarily the Sooners. Spencer Rattler, 15-2 as a starter, just shy of 5,000 yards passing, 40 touchdowns, and 12 picks. Not too bad. Some good stats. But hasn't looked like, I feel like his stats are better on paper than his actual performance. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. Systematic, I don't even know if I'd say that. Has he been forgotten at Oklahoma? Have they forgotten about him? Have they just thrown him under the bus? I don't know. But I will say this, that I do think that Spencer Rattler is an amazing quarterback. Do I agree with his decision to transfer out? Absolutely. I think he's making the best decision he could make right now to transfer out. Going to South Carolina, though, I'll tell you what, who's going to benefit more, South Carolina or Spencer Rattler? Well, first off, we don't even know if him transferring there, if he's even going to do any good. But I'll tell you what, I am impressed with Shane Beamer so far at South Carolina, and it sounds like South Carolina fans are, and I think should be too. I think he's a great head coach. I think that he knows what he's doing. I think that he can be the guy that can help Spencer Rattler. Uh, Spencer Rattler was supposed to be the number one pick in 2022, or maybe even this past year in the draft. I don't remember which year. Or well, no, it was Trevor Lawrence. But this next draft coming up, I should say, now that I think about it, realize it. South Carolina, first year head coach in Shane Beamer, 6-6 record, going to a bowl game. Awesome. That's great for them. They were 3-5 in conference play, though. They're going to the Duke's Mayo Bowl to play, I guess, North Carolina. So we get a battle of the Carolinas. I don't know if Spencer Rattler is getting immediate eligibility, though. Someone let me know if that's the case. Should he start this bowl game, right? If he's intending on transferring and they're going to say you could go ahead and play, go ahead and start, should they play him in this bowl game? Do you go ahead and start him and give him a chance? I'll tell you what, him going there, though, he will start next year. He should, at least. I do like Spencer Rattler. I think his size is pretty good. He's very loose with the football. He can run. He can extend plays, get out the pocket. He's a great quarterback. But because of a game against Texas this year, and I don't blame Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma for making the, I don't blame them for making the switch. He started for the offense most of the year. He's 15-2 as a starter, 40 touchdowns, only 12 picks. Not too bad. He won the job, though. He won the job last year. I don't know if he started right away, but he won the job over Tanner Mordecai, who eventually, I believe, transferred out. If not, maybe he's still on the roster. I don't know where Tanner Mordecai is. But Spencer Rattler enrolled. Jalen Hurts was the quarterback. He transfers from Alabama. Talk about transfers, right? It's very rare you see guys transfer out of Oklahoma. You normally see them go to Oklahoma. But in this situation, Spencer Rattler's out of there. I don't blame him. I think he's making the right decision. He was part of the 2020 class, but he was able to enroll early. He sat a year redshirted behind Jalen Hurts. He wins the job over Tanner Mordecai last year, right? They go to a 9-2 record. Not the best season. It's a step back for Oklahoma. They lost quite a bit. They did lose a few key guys, few key pieces. CeeDee Lamb, I believe, was the one key receiver there. So they go to a 9-2 record. I think they end up winning the Big 12. And from there on, I mean, look, then you look at especially the second half of last season. You come into this year, and I was saying Georgia's going to win the title all along. But what I also was saying was watch out for Oklahoma. Now, obviously, that's not the case here. I was wrong about Oklahoma. I think a lot of people were because a lot of people looked at Lincoln Riley, and we also, hold on, we looked at Spencer Rattler. He was the preseason Heisman pick for a lot of people. He was my preseason pick. I thought Spencer Rattler was going to go pretty far. Now, again, he's not a bad quarterback. He's a great quarterback. He's got a skill set. He's got good arm strength. He's very mobile, his decision making. But somewhere this year, I don't know what happened, but I think it was the Texas game. Caleb Williams came in the game. I believe Oklahoma was struggling. Yeah. Somebody talk about this and let me know what happened. Right? During the second quarter, they're struggling against Texas, right? And in the second quarter, Caleb Williams, this freshman, comes in the game, right? Now, it was a shootout, and Oklahoma won the game 55-48. It was 28-7 at the end of the first quarter in this game. It was. Right? So it's 28-7 at the end of the first quarter. Texas. Okay, cool. Second quarter, you try to get some things going. First couple plays for Spencer Rattler, it's not going too well. Guys aren't catching the ball. He's having a hard time against this defense. All right. Spencer Rattler's having a bad day, going to struggle. It's one of those situations where it's like, okay, you just got to get your head in the game or we're going to have to bench you. Well, he didn't get it together, and they had to bench him. But it was also one of those key moments where they got it together, and they ended up getting the win. They went from 28-7 at the end of the first quarter to winning a huge shootout, scoring 25 points in the fourth quarter. They outscored Texas 25-7 in the fourth quarter. They win the game 55-48 in the Red River rivalry. That's when it started for Caleb Williams. And from there, this offense has looked great, right? And they were 6-0. They were on a good path. They were ranked number 14 at the time. They just weren't looking like the Oklahoma we expected them to look like. Preseason, obviously, when you look back at it. But, and it's so weird. It's a rarity to sit there and say, oh, Oklahoma's struggling on offense. Normally they're struggling on defense. Now, I will say for their defense, I'm never gonna sit there and hype their defense up ever again. Because I mean, every time we've been hearing it the past few years, their defense is going to do this or that. They're going to get better. Anyway, I know I'm getting off topic. Spencer Rattler, not a bad quarterback. Not at all. No, not a bad quarterback. But that Texas game, man, he struggled really. He struggled greatly. Right? I don't blame Lincoln Riley for making the switch to Caleb Williams, but then it was something like this is literally like the Kelly Bryant and Trevor Lawrence situation, right? You have this veteran who already had a year under his belt, and it wasn't all that perfect or pretty. He comes in the next year, right? And he's not doing too bad. but it's not to the standard that you want it to be at. So what do you have? You have this 5-star phenom. People know him. People have heard of him, but not enough. And you just got to see it to believe it type of quarterback. You remember the thing with Trevor Lawrence? The same thing with Caleb Williams. People have heard about him. They want to see it and believe it. And they're waiting for that moment that he can shine. So you make the switch at quarterback. You put this freshman in, and you're able to just get the firepower you need for your offense. You know, I mean, they were scored. I mean, they struggled against Nebraska 23-16 in week 3. Week 4, it was 16-13 over West Virginia. You can't sit there and tell me this is, oh, West Virginia's defense is that good. I understand they might have some good players or whatever, but dude, there's no excuse for the talent that OU has on offense for them not to win game. If you're going to play a close game, okay, it's the Big 12. But what happened to the 41-38 games? What, 16-13? And you go on. They've won some close games. 37-31 over Kansas. 55-48. We remember the Texas game, right? That was when Caleb Williams came in this. And then the defense started picking up a little bit. They had a tough game against Kansas, but they won over TCU 52-31, 52-21, Texas Tech. There's better firepower. They lost the game against Baylor, right? Okay, drop your first game, first loss, no big deal. Then you play on the road at Oklahoma State, which I don't think offense was necessarily the issue. I mean, in some ways, yes, but they played better defenses. But there's something like Caleb Williams has 18 touchdowns, 82% QBR, and 1,600 yards plus throwing the ball. I think they're on a good track with Caleb Williams. I think Oklahoma believes that. Surely prior to leaving, Lincoln Riley thought that. Bob Stoops coming in, at least for right now, you know, again, he's the interim head coach. In the bowl game, what's he going to call? I think it's going to be Caleb Williams. What does Brent Venables think? Also, think about this. Think about where their defense is going to be with Brent Venables. I would expect Caleb Williams to be the starting quarterback next year for Oklahoma. But Spencer Rattler leaving, you can't blame him. And he's not a bad quarterback at all. He's amazing talent. But there was just something about the Caleb Williams thing against Texas and all that he just kind of came in the game and he had poise and just showed it and showed up when he needed to. Overall, Spencer Rattler leaving us. Now, his destination that he's choosing, it's intriguing. I'm not saying it's a good choice. It's not a bad choice. It's interesting. Is it interesting for Spencer Rattler? We'll see. But Shane Beamer. Ooh. Shane Beamer. Wow. I'll tell you what, you get a 5-star talented quarterback like that leading your offense next year, South Carolina, I think they'll do a lot better than people expect them to. Now, in the offseason, we'll preview and look at it. It's a very interesting landing spot for Rattler. But, you know, overall, if you're Shane Beamer, you got to be high on the hog. At the very least, I mean, the spotlight's always been on South Carolina. They're not a dead program. They're not even a bad program. They're just kind of down. Will Muschamp, I think, really screwed them over with all these 4-8, 5-7, inconsistent seasons and just downfall. A lot of people were interested in the Shane Beamer hire, son of Frank Beamer. But now, people know who Spencer Rattler is. He could have gone to Hawaii, Tulsa, ULM. He could have gone to a nobody, non-Power 5 school. We wouldn't throw him out. I wouldn't. I'd be like, oh, okay, I don't understand this choice, but I know he's talented. I'm curious to see if he does something with this team. That's where it's at right now. But also, South Carolina's kind of been under the microscope, right? Like, okay, are they going to have a good year or are they not? Is this coach the next great coach for South Carolina or is it not? And we just don't know. I think next year in 2022, this is Shane Beamer's chance. First off, I give credit to Spencer Rattler. This is his chance to not, like, we know he's talented, but let's see how he handles it now. Now he gets a chance, a second opportunity to start in college football. And going to South Carolina under Shane Beamer, that's amazing. I'd take it any day. I'd take that chance. Go for it. Go for it, man. But Shane Beamer, you have a tool now. You have a secret weapon for your offense. You can put some points up on these SEC teams, can you not? I'm just saying. But it's at least, and again, I'm not going to say this is going to be great or it's going to be bad. I don't know, but I'm intrigued by it. I'm curious. South Carolina again, 6-6. They went 3-5 in conference play. Now, in total, they scored 167 points this year, which isn't too bad. But like they had, okay, so their first game, 46-0 shutout. They struggled against Eastern Carolina. They only put 13 up on Georgia. They only scored 10 on Kentucky. They beat Vandy by 1. They put 40 on Florida, which you can maybe sit there and say, like, well, Florida don't have a defense. Okay, cool. But, like, okay, a game like that, though, if you win against Florida, which Florida does suck this year, not going to lie. They did. Dan Mullen's gone. Be happy, Florida fans. I'm sure you are having a big party. Can't wait for next season. 40-17 over Florida. That's a game right there where it's like, we scored 40 points, so you know you can do it. Why you can't do it on a regular basis is beyond me. But, man, you can bring in a secret weapon like Spencer Rattler. That's incredible. Also, Austin Stogner, the tight end, is coming with a good blocking tight end, great route runner. I'll throw him in here too. But overall, I'd say it's a good landing spot for Spencer Rattler. But who won this one more? Did South Carolina win it by getting a quarterback that they need to lead their offense and potentially push it forward, that they can compete with some of the other offenses in the SEC, at least to a certain extent? Or does Spencer Rattler go to a place and maybe he's going to help him exceed up the draft board for the 2023 NFL draft? Makes you wonder. Y'all comment down below. Let me know who won this one, right? Does South Carolina benefit more from this, or does Spencer Rattler benefit more from this? I would love to hear some feedback in the comments. Hey, do me a favor. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I really would appreciate it. I love you guys. Thanks again for 2 amazing years on here. It's been 2 of the best years. Many more to come. I promise you that. Keep your head up. Jesus loves you. God bless. And as always, folks.
Okay. Roll down Tide.
Roll Tide, roll. Love you guys. Jesus loves you. Merry Christmas. Valor Sports Media. Check it out. Love y'all. God bless. Woo!